world's richest entertainer once said, "Though I'm grateful for the blessings of wealth, it hasn't changed who I am. My feet are still on the ground, I'm just wearing better shoes." Perhaps that's because the Queen of Daytime Talk knows just as much about poverty, pain and struggle as many of her downtrodden guests. Oprah Gail Winfrey was born into a Mississippi Baptist family to unmarried teenage parents on January the 29th, 1954. With her father Vernon away on duty in the army and her mother Vanita unable to care for her, baby Oprah lived in poverty with her grandmother Hattie Mae, who reportedly whipped her with a switch whenever she stepped out of line. Things got even tougher when she went to live with her mother in Wisconsin, where, according to Oprah's later accounts, she suffered abuse at the hands of a cousin and a friend of her uncle. After running away from home a number of times, Vanita sent her to live with her father Vernon, who imposed strict rules in an attempt to curb her rebellious behavior. They weren't enough to prevent her from running riot, and at the age of 14 she fell pregnant. The baby died at birth, and perhaps it was that tragedy that brought Oprah around to realizing that success, rather than self-destruction, was the best way to avenge her abuse. She fulfilled the prodigious potential she'd shown as a 3-year-old reciting passages from the Bible in church by becoming an honor student and joining the speech team at school. At the age of 18, she proved she had both the beauty and brains for a future career in television by winning a Miss Black Tennessee beauty pageant and a full scholarship to Tennessee State University to study communications. After several years as a news anchor in Nashville and Baltimore, she found herself hosting a little-watched morning talk show called AM Chicago. Within months, the show had jumped from the bottom to the top of the ratings, and The Oprah Winfrey Show was born. The hour-long show went national and quickly overtook former favourite Phil Donahue to become the #1 daytime talk show in America. Time magazine declared, "It's the talk show as a group therapy session," and that what Oprah lacked in journalistic toughness, she made up for in plain-spoken curiosity, robust humour, and above all, empathy. According to Forbes magazine, it also helped turn her into the world's most powerful celebrity. At the end of the 20th century, Life rated her the most influential woman on the planet. Persuading celebrities and the general public to bare their souls on daytime TV is just one chapter of the Oprah Winfrey epic. In 1985, with barely any acting experience, she played the downcast Sophia in Steven Spielberg's film adaptation of Alice Walker's novel, The Color Purple. Her first big-screen outing won her an Academy Award nomination. Championing black female writers like Toni Morrison and Maya Angelou on her talk show and through her book club helped Oprah win Alice Walker's trust, and she persuaded her to take The Color Purple one step further. Oprah produced the musical, which drew an A-list crowd of fans to its opening in 2005.
How incredible is this? I mean, for anybody that has seen the movie, you just really felt that it was just so groundbreaking and how our culture changed and everything like. And for Oprah Winfrey, only Oprah Winfrey could do this, bring it to Broadway, and I'm sure we're going to be blessed once again.
The show was well received by critics, and the following year she was biting her nails on the way into the Tony Awards.
Steven Spielberg told me this when I was nominated for The Color Purple. No matter how much fun the process of being nominated is, the moment in which you actually, the 5 names are called, and yours is one of them, you are just making a deal with God. Please let them call my name. And then there's that moment when your name isn't called, and how do you hold your face? So I say, no matter what happens, keep your face on straight.
She didn't have to keep her face on straight when LaShanza's name was called to collect the Best Lead Actress award for her role as the brave Celie. But by then, Oprah had already set her sights on the next big mountain to climb, the challenge of starting up her own radio channel.
This is another milestone, full circle moment for me, because I started out in radio when I was 16 years old. And it is an honor to be here today with all of my friends, because my broadcasting career has been about trying in every way possible to uplift, enlighten, encourage, and entertain our audiences. And now I'm going to get by with a little help from a lot of my friends who also are going to be offering encouragement, offering enlightenment, offering a sense of entertainment and fun so that people can live their best lives on XM 156.
It became the latest addition to a media empire that includes her magazine O, her book club, and her online portal, Oprah.com, all of which fall under the auspices of her own multimedia company, Harpo, the production company that set Oprah on the way to her first billion by producing The Color Purple in 1985. As well as bankrolling other TV shows like Dr. Phil, Rachel Ray, and the upcoming The Dr. Oz Show, she was honored to embark on the lengthy process of bringing Denzel Washington's directorial project, The Great Debaters, to the big screen.
I think it was almost 4 years ago when we first gave this script to Denzel, and with the hope that he would direct it and also be in it. I dare not even hope, I mean, I'm not going to ask him to act in it because, he's Denzel. And so when he said that he would, I did a little hula dance because I thought, well, I will just be happy if he will just direct it. And so, it's more than I could ever even have hoped for.
The film, co-starring Forrest Whitaker, which tells the story of the 1935 champion debate team from all-black Wiley College, was especially close to the heart of the former high school speech champion. And the labor of love proved that even the most powerful woman in America can sometimes get bashful.
I was emailing Forrest, and I was like, well, I think that, we're going to be talking to you about, I dared not even ask the question myself. So I let Denzel handle all of that, and when I heard that Forrest was able to do it, I did a little hallelujah holy dance. Mm-hmm.
And the famously emotional media mogul was overwhelmed with Denzel's direction.
The first time I saw it with him, I used, finally I was trying to, wipe my nose with my fingers and finally had to say, has anybody got any Kleenex? And trying to cry quietly. At the end of it, he's so sweet. He said to me, well, did you like it? Did I like it? I have a headache from trying not to suppress myself from bawling in the room, I didn't want to go into the so he'd think I needed therapy or something.
More recently, her estimated annual income of $270 million has afforded Oprah the luxury of ploughing her entrepreneurial efforts into long-held charitable ambitions. In 2007, she committed $40 million of her own money to opening the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa.
I wanted to educate girls because I was a poor girl who grew up with my grandmother, as so many of these girls, because of AIDS, are now left to be raised by their grandmother. And as I was raised by my grandmother, with no running water and no electricity, but given the kind of support and given the desire to have an education by my grandmother, who believed that education was everything. And so I wanted to be able to give back to African girls what I'd been given.
The Academy aimed to give girls from deprived backgrounds a quality education in a country where schools are struggling to overcome the legacy of apartheid and the threat of AIDS.
Girls who are educated are less likely to get diseases like HIV and AIDS. And because AIDS is a pandemic in this country, I believe that we have to begin to change the pandemic by education.
Meanwhile, Chris Tucker was left feeling a little in awe of the world's most influential woman.
Somebody always inspires somebody else, and Oprah's I hope she inspires everybody, but she's already inspired me.
Former South African President Nelson Mandela was also on hand to congratulate Oprah on her historic achievement.
We shared our conviction with Oprah that the gains of our democracy would be nullified if we did not properly educate our children and youth. She obviously recognized the potential in our youth. South Africans should not only be grateful to you, but should take a lesson from you about what personal commitment means.
2 months later, she was doing it all again. In the remote town of Kokstad in the eastern KwaZulu-Natal province, she opened a second school. The $1.6 million environmentally friendly complex, which boasts solar power and a recycling system that harvests rainwater and powers a merry-go-round, had staff at the new school chanting their benefactor's name as she danced with the students. She even took some of them for a night out at the theatre for the opening of the South African production of The Lion King.
It's a special production because, first of all, it gives the African artists an opportunity to do their thing, to really expose them in a way that a lot of the world has not seen. And so it's special because of its content, it's special because of its context, it's special because it's here, it's special because all of my girls get to see it for the first time, it's special because I get to see it in Africa, we get to experience it in this new theater that was built just for, it's all special. And we all say, Mufasa, woo! That's how special it is.
The South African schools represent the pinnacle of Oprah's philanthropic endeavours that began in earnest back in 1988 with the formation of her Angel Network, aimed at encouraging people around the world to help others. It has since handed out more than $51 million worth of grants to like-minded organisations. Aside from pursuing her own charitable projects, she's also thrown her weight behind a host of other initiatives launched by fellow celebrity philanthropists. In 2002, Oprah received a flattering introduction from Jay Leno as she stepped up to present the biannual Carousel of Hope Gala, which raises money for the Barbara Davis Center for Childhood Diabetes.
Right now, the second most important person in the United States, one of my all-time favorites, one of the great ladies of the world. She needs no introduction, Oprah Winfrey, ladies and gentlemen.
4 years later, she joined U2 frontman Bono in a highly publicized shopping spree on Chicago's Magnificent Mile to launch a line of Red products, from which a portion of the profits would be donated to a global AIDS fund. And of course, she's always on call to support the efforts of her great friend and champion Nelson Mandela. In May 2008, she was among a select number of celebrity humanitarians chosen to speak at the 3-hour concert to celebrate Nelson's 90th birthday and raise funds for the many organizations he lends his name to.
For every 14 seconds, there is a child somewhere in the world orphaned by AIDS. And now that we know this, and know that it can be prevented, and know that there is something that we can do, what will you do?
On the way into a star-studded dinner in his honor, she revealed the more personal side to their relationship.
Oh God, he's still funny, he's still cracking jokes. They're not so funny, but he still has that sort of glimmer in his eye. He doesn't feel what we think 90 is at all. He still is very much lively and alive. That's what I loved about tea with him.
Another president Oprah can surely drop in on any time she likes is current White House incumbent Barack Obama. No doubt he will never forget the debt of gratitude he owes to the most powerful person in entertainment for publicly endorsing his campaign for presidency back in 2007.
Is he the one? South Carolina, I do believe he's the one to bring us the audacity of hope, Barack
Obama! It's Obama time!
Analysts have since commented that Oprah's support of Barack Obama earned him more than 1 million votes in the Democratic primary race, and that without it, he would have lost to Hillary Clinton. Political commentator Dick Morris went on to say that her endorsement softens Obama, wraps him up, and makes of him a Christmas present to America. On the 4th of November 2008, she was in the thick of the massive crowd in Grant Park, Chicago, when it erupted in jubilation at the news that Barack Obama had been elected the 44th President of the United States.
I feel like I've been sort of like pulsating all day, and now I feel like I'm like in full vibrational mode. I feel good. I feel like this is what we've wanted and hoped for and worked for the past 21 months. So.
Another of Oprah's good friends is California's First Lady, Maria Shriver. The pair have been close for 30 years, and Oprah provided a shoulder to cry on when Maria's mother Eunice lost her long struggle against brain cancer in 2009. But her most constant friend and companion since her early 20s has been Gayle King. Formerly a television news anchor and talk show host herself, Gayle is now editor-at-large for O and has her own show on Oprah's radio channel. One person she's supposedly been less than keen on over the years is fellow talk show host David Letterman. However, when she made a much-hyped appearance on The Letterman Show in 2005, Oprah proclaimed that contrary to tabloid reports, she had never had a beef with his irreverent humour, and they then proceeded to discuss the healthcare crisis in Africa. At the end of the interview, he famously escorted her out of the studio and across the road to the premiere of her musical The Colour Purple. Despite all of her incredible achievements, influential friends and power, however, Oprah's rise has not been without its setbacks and controversies. And like just about every other public figure in the world, she's been subject to her fair share of gossip column inches. Her yo-yoing weight, outspoken stances, political allegiances, and soft spot for a hard luck story have all drawn criticism over the years. But one of the most persistent rumours revolves around Oprah's private life, largely due to the fact that now in her mid-50s, she's still the world's most eligible singleton. Her 2-decade engagement to Stedman Graham has added fuel to the flames, as has the closeness of her relationship with best friend Gayle King. She's also been forced to deal with various attempts by family members and associates to cash in on her fame in exchange for scurrilous secrets. Thankfully, however, her billionaire budget enables her to keep a very proactive legal team close at hand. And in 2007, she needed all the help she could get when it was revealed that her 74-year-old father was penning a tell-all book about her. The Inquirer interview in which Vernon dropped the bombshell quoted him as saying that his daughter was an out-of-hand, unruly child who should have been physically punished more harshly. Not surprisingly, Oprah's lawyers moved in, and the book was reportedly put on hold. Earlier in the year, she'd had to contend with the news that another greedy relative had pocketed $19,000 for telling the world that she'd had a baby at 14. After living with that secret for nearly 40 years, Oprah allegedly cried for 3 days before finding some relief in being able to talk openly about her abusive childhood and promiscuous adolescence. But then 2007 was to turn into a bumpy year all round. The same year, she also had to deal with complaints from parents of some of the girls at her treasured leadership academy. Oprah was forced to deal with the claims at the opening of her second school in March.
I've spoken to the parents who supposedly were complaining about the school. I called them up on the phone and said, first of all, if you have some complaints, I would prefer that you talk to me or the head of school about them as preferred to going to the media. And they said to me, the two parents who were in the paper that you're talking about, said to me that they did say that the school was strict, but the school was also fair and it was necessary to be strict.
That turned out to be just the tip of the iceberg. 6 months later, she was rocked by reports that a matron at the school had sexually abused some students. Devastated, Oprah hopped straight on the plane to South Africa to investigate and tearfully begged forgiveness from the girls' parents. The matron was subsequently sacked and charged with assaulting 6 students. But then Oprah's supreme ability to triumph over adversity is what had set her on the path to becoming the world's most influential woman, and what has kept her at the top of Forbes magazine list of most powerful celebrities for the best part of a decade. When asked the secret behind her success, she's been quoted as saying, "The big secret in life is that there is no big secret. Whatever your goal, you can get there if you're willing to work." And even her detractors would never question Oprah's willingness to work. Although she claims to have learned that you can't have everything and do everything at the same time, she's also proved that if your name is Oprah Winfrey, you can get pretty close. And her trophy cabinet proves it. The first year her show went into national syndication, she was embarrassed to make a clean sweep of the talk show awards at the Emmys. And after winning a Lifetime Achievement Award in 1998, she took herself out of the running to let someone else get a look in. She's also won 4 People's Choice Awards, 6 NAACP Awards, and a Peabody Award. For her acting, she's been nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe. As a producer, she's won a PGA Award, while her philanthropic efforts have been honored with a Bob Hope Humanitarian Award. And in 2008, she was named Person of the Year by animal rights group PETA. More telling than all the praise and accolades she's won from her peers, however, is the respect and admiration that Oprah has drawn from a staggering number of ordinary people across the globe. Her daytime show, which attracts 30 million viewers in the US alone, can now be seen in 140 countries around the world. Her determination to reach her full potential has spurred her on to achieve things that most of us never dared dream of. In becoming the world's first black billionaire, she proved that the glass ceilings imposed on gender and race were there to be smashed, and she's been smashing them ever since. But what makes Oprah Winfrey truly inspiring is her eagerness to share the secrets of her journey of self-discovery that have led her from one major milestone to the next. Through her talk show, magazine, book club, radio channel, and humanitarian work, she continues to teach the importance of integrity, determination, and living in the moment, with the same conviction and charisma that earned her the nickname of the Preacher as a 3-year-old toddler in Mississippi.